So welcome everybody. Today is our first session for our spring 2021 semester here at CI. And today Ramon and I are going to talk to you guys about growth mindset for school success. And this is a perfect topic to start out the semester because it's all about seeing your own success roadmap. And I know every one of you works really hard at school, and school can sometimes be harder if you have some challenges that are disability related. So the opportunity to know that we're in control of our ability to be successful is a really important aspect of helping us stay positive, motivated, so that we persevere. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of what is a mindset. Now, those of you who are a psychology major might think like this is really basic, but you know, some people don't really understand what do you mean about a mindset? A mindset is really about what we're talking about here is how we think about our abilities, how we look at success, how we experience or perceive failure. It's a lot about how we approach challenges. Our mindset affects how we make choices. So what you believe makes you decide, I'm going to go this way or this way. It makes you decide if you're going to persist or give up. It's not necessarily constant across all activities. So you might have some things that you have a real positive growth mindset and some things that you feel what's called a fixed mindset. So you might have a general mindset about life, but in some areas, it might be a little bit different. So what we're really talking about is kind of like how you think about experiences in life. So for those of you who have internet, and I don't know, Ramon, if you could type that URL into the chat. If you have a moment, there's this quiz that it's only 8 questions. You could take this quiz and it will immediately show you where your mindset is with relationship to your ability to be successful. And I think it's important. If you don't want to do it right now, Ramon's going to put it in the chat and you can do it later. But it really will give you a gauge about where you're starting from and whether or not you need to make any adjustments. Some of you may already be in a growth mindset. And today you'll learn that. You'll say, hey, wow, I'm already doing this and I'm really happy about it. And some of you, you might find that, wow, I really am in a fixed mindset and I need to, you know, make changes on that. And you'll learn today how you might be able to do that. So if you have a moment and take the quiz, do you want me to give you guys a second to do it? Or I'll give you a minute to go do it. Okay, so feel free to share in the chat and let's dive in here. So growth mindset is a lot about how you look at your intelligence. So somebody who's in a fixed mindset believes that intelligence is something innate. It's what you're born with. Somebody who has a growth mindset believes that their intelligence grows as they learn and develop. So this is an important distinction because if we believe that intelligence is fixed, then the way that we look at school and life, we are less likely to see opportunities for success if we don't do well at stuff. So, So they look at, with a growth mindset model, they look at 2 things, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So the fixed mindset is the concept that we're born with our abilities or our talent, that abilities cannot change. For example, somebody who's very verbal and articulate can never become articulate and, you know, good at speaking. Somebody who is has difficulty with writing will always have difficulty with writing. So that's a fixed mindset. People believe that people who are musicians, they probably were born with it, or people who are artists, they were born with that talent. People who have a fixed mindset believe talent alone creates success. That, you know, if you don't have the talent, you're not going to be able to be successful in this thing. And that hard work, while you might improve, you can't improve enough to truly be successful. And people with a fixed mindset believe that mistakes happen because they lack the ability to do better. Sebastian, you had a question?
One thing we should remember that Temple Grandin says is that talent earns respect. When you mentioned talent, that Temple Grandin says that talent earns respect.
Yeah. Well, you know, and so I love Temple Grandin. She's awesome, isn't she? If you guys don't know who she is, you should look her up. She's really amazing. I got to see her speak at UCLA. Yeah, and you know, talent, there's a genetic predisposition to be good at certain things. There's definitely, that's totally true. However, the thing with the fixed mindset is people believe that just if you're not born with it, then you can't develop it. And I think that's really important to understand. And because the opposite of the fixed mindset is the growth mindset. So the growth mindset is the belief that you can grow your abilities. So while some people might be born with innate musical abilities, if you practice enough, you can become a virtuoso on an instrument. Okay. And the growth mindset believes that intelligences increase the more you learn. Okay. So a good example of that is if you're in school and let's say you're a biology major, the more you do your biology classes and the more you learn and the more you practice, you become educated, and suddenly you will start developing some innate ability with biology. You'll be able to kind of integrate your learning and then have your own ideas and thoughts because now your brain has changed and grown from what you've learned. The biggest difference between growth mindset and a fixed mindset is around mistakes. People who have a growth mindset believe that mistakes are opportunities to grow. And this is really important, especially if you're in a school environment, you have to take classes that don't come so easy to you. Some people will make that a stumbling block and maybe give up. But people with a growth mindset, they say, okay, I made a mistake. How can I do it better? And the other thing about people with a growth mindset, they understand that if they persevere, it will create success. And success they measure against themselves, not necessarily against an outside measure. So here's how the two mindsets kind of work. When somebody is faced with a really hard task or they fail, a growth mindset person will increase their effort and have higher achievement. A fixed mindset person would say, oh, what's the point? I'm not good at this. I can't do this. What's the point of trying harder? I'm not going to do any better. And so they reduce their effort and then they don't do as well in the end. So here is a very interesting graph that I found when I was doing my research. And I love this because it relates to school. So it shows that students who have a growth mindset are clearly more likely to do better on standardized exams. So the left chart shows you the students with a growth mindset is the green bar, okay? So the left two bars are the top 20% of scores of students on a national achievement test. And the right two bars are the bottom 22% of scores. And you can see in the top 20% of scores, more than double of the amount of students who got in that top 20% group had a growth mindset. And the students who had the bottom 20% scores, more than double of them had a fixed mindset. Because success, your success, has a lot to do with your perception of your ability to be successful. So I thought this was a very striking example of that.
Bonnie, the chat room is saying that it's chat disabled.
What? Oh.
That the chat room says disabled. I'm not sure if I can type in the chat room. I was gonna ask a question. I was just curious. Can you go back and forth from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? But the
Yeah,
chat is
I'm gonna do
disabled.
more on that in a minute, but hold on a second. Let me just pause the. Okay, great.
Perfect.
So think of these questions. Think of a time that you struggled. Could have been in a class, it could have been in life, but just think of something that was really hard. Okay. How did you feel when you struggled? You know, like what kind of things were you saying to yourself? Were you thinking like, oh, these things always happen to me, or I'm never going to be able to get this done? Or were you thinking like, okay, I just have to try harder, or gosh, I think I need to find some help? What were you thinking? And did you keep trying, or did you give up? Did you say, I'm never going to be able to do it anyhow, no matter how hard I try? That's it, I'm done. If you kept trying, what motivated you? So one clue here is if you gave up, that's a clue that you might have a fixed mindset. If you persevered, that's a clue that you have a growth mindset. Okay. So how we look at how we struggle can help us understand where our mind is. Okay, so fixed mindset students focus on grades. They hate difficult classes. They will tweak their schedule to avoid classes that are super hard. They will often procrastinate difficult tasks because they don't like having to try and attempt them. They're really afraid of looking stupid in class, so they often won't ask questions because they're afraid that they might get it wrong or might say something that makes them look stupid. They take feedback very personally. So if the professor provides a suggestion on a paper, the student will say, oh my God, I'm so dumb. How could I have done that? You know, instead of saying, oh, I'm glad the professor told me that. Now I can change it for the next time. People with a fixed mindset are often threatened when others are more successful. They feel like, oh, they're so much smarter than I am. I'm never going to be able to do this. Look at how good they're doing it. I'm never going to be able to do that. They're always comparing themselves to others to see if they measure up. People with a fixed mindset do not feel in control of their ability to be successful. So they feel like it's preordained based on their abilities. The outcome is going to happen that way. So I just can't learn math. I'm just not good at it, and I'm never going to be able to learn it. Contrast that with students with a growth mindset. They focus on learning. While grades are important, going to school for them is about the information. They enjoy challenging classes because they approach challenges with zeal. Oh, this is an opportunity for me to grow. They persist when it gets difficult. They don't procrastinate. They don't avoid. When they get a grade, they accept the grade when they know they have put in their best effort. They don't say, I'm stupid because I didn't do better. They say, wow, I know I put in my best effort, you know, and this is what I got. They ask for feedback. So they're the ones that are going to office hours saying, can you help me with this? Or tell me how I can do this better. They compare themselves to their own progress. So they look at, okay, last time I did this exam, I didn't do so well, but this time I did better. Instead of, oh my gosh, look, they got an A and I got a C. maybe last time they got a D and now they got a C. Oh, I did better. They champion others to try to do their best. So they love motivating others. They don't see others as competition. They want everybody to be successful. And they, most importantly, see their own effort as their path to success. They know if I try harder, I'm going to do better. So Andrea, hopefully that helps you see the difference a little bit better.
Yes, thank you.
So why is a growth mindset important? So research shows there's a very high correlation between mindset and achievement. And growth mindset helps people realize that effort can lead to success. Research shows that achievement is about 30% ability, 70% perseverance. So, you know, this is something that's really very important when students have disabilities. I mean, I've shared many times, I have 2 kids that have learning disabilities that I used to be very concerned because for them it's in writing. So writing is a really important aspect of functioning, especially with emails and stuff. But when I learned that perseverance was more important than the ability to do something, I felt much better knowing that they both work very hard and they do persist through challenges. So it's important to understand that trying hard can compensate when you don't quite have the ability. And growth mindset really creates this love for learning. Like, I love learning, growing, and becoming better at things. When you have a growth mindset, it helps you handle failure better. We're not all going to do well all the time. We were talking about something like this in a meeting the other day, and somebody said, like, I bet Bonnie's never been on academic probation. I said, oh, you bet wrong. I mean, everybody's got stuff. I love to learn and I love to gather information, but when I was in college, I had several classes I had to take over, and structural engineering that was super duper hard. And I had never had that experience before because in high school, I never took classes that were hard like that. And I had to learn and grow from it. And it was really difficult at the time, but I'm glad that I went through that experience because it made me a much better student. Okay. Having a growth mindset creates a more positive attitude. So you don't get taken down when you have things that don't go exactly the way you had hoped. And you don't move into a place of depression. You move into a place of, okay, that really sucked. I hated that. I wish it hadn't happened, but I'm just going to try harder and hopefully it will work out better. So this is important to understand a little bit more detail about how the different mindsets see effort. Okay, so a fixed mindset person believes that if they have to put in a lot of effort, it's a measure of their intelligence. In other words, if I don't get it, I'm not smart. Okay, so a fixed mindset person thinks if I'm trying hard, I don't have the ability to do this. They often give up because with a fixed mindset, they don't believe that can change. They don't believe that they can gain the ability. And so what's the point of trying? Because either it's there or it's not. A growth mindset person sees effort as a necessary part of success. Okay, they try harder when they're faced with a setback because they know that effort equals success. And they use effort to overcome a challenge. So that's a very important distinction, because this is especially true for those of you who have careers where you're going to end up working with other people, to understand that when somebody gives up, it may be because they have this underlying belief system that what's the point of trying? You know, I don't have the ability to do this and I never will. You really, when you are looking at what you do in life and in school, you want to change your focus. Praise yourself for your effort and process, not necessarily the outcome. In school, there's this huge focus on grades. Grades are the outcome. But the fact is some people aren't going to get A's in all classes. They'll put in a lot of effort. And yes, that 30% of innate ability may determine whether or not you get an A, B, C, or D, or F, right? But the thing is that you want to say, did I put in my best effort? And praise yourself for that, even if the outcome isn't what you were hoping for, because it's in the praising of the effort and process that you build your confidence in your ability to be successful. This is important because we all are going to have things that happen in life that aren't going to go the way we want them to. And we can't judge ourselves for that. We can't say, oh, I'm so stupid, or oh, I can't, I don't understand why I can never do things right. What we have to say is, well, what have I done to try to change this? I tried really hard and it still didn't turn out right. Just means I need to do it differently. So I need to learn differently, but I did try. I put in my good effort. So there's several things you can do to help you create a growth mindset. Before I continue, did anybody take the quiz? Did anybody want to share in the chats or out loud the results of that quiz, where they might have fallen on that spectrum?
I did. I took it, and this is Josette, and my results were a growth mindset.
Excellent.
I'm always eager to learn new things, and I don't give up. I continue on, and I ask a lot of questions.
Knowing you, I would agree with that. Yeah. I ask a lot of questions too. I drive people crazy sometimes.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't ask a question, you won't know. And it's all in how you ask the question. But I ask a lot of questions because I need to understand, and I explain things to people so they fully understand. And I'm not intimidated by anyone else. I want only what I can achieve, not what someone else has.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, that's exactly what a growth mindset is. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, wow, I'm looking at what I can do and I'm in control of my ability to be successful. So that's awesome. Sometimes it's not pervasive across all things, and sometimes it is. But for those who find that they have fixed mindset in some areas, creating a growth mindset is absolutely possible. It's really just shifting how you're looking at things. So the first thing that you want to do if you want to shift into a growth mindset is any experience that is challenging for you. Look at that experience and say, what did I learn from this? If you failed a class, what could you have done differently? Should you have had tutoring? Those of you who have, I don't know if there's anybody here today, but I meet with students often who, after their first midterm, they're having challenges, and I work with them to try to find other ways of studying. Is there a better way for me to learn and remember the information? And so reaching out for help is great when things don't go quite right. Also looking at, did I put in a good effort? Did I really try, but it still didn't turn out well? For some reason, I didn't perform well on that exam, but I did try, I studied. And I did a lot of things to try to be successful. And you want to look at what other strategies could you have used. Like I said, reaching out for help. And really looking at, okay, so I failed that exam. What motivates you to keep trying in that class? What motivates you to, keep studying and reaching out for help, getting tutoring? What is that energy that's making you feel like, yeah, I can do this. I know that was hard, but I can still do this. The other thing, and this is difficult in the virtual setting, but what can I learn from others doing the same thing? You know, we did last semester a workshop on how to create a virtual study group. And I really encourage you guys to go back and watch that video and do what you can to create that in your classes, because I feel like with discussions from students, a lot of students have been saying in the virtual environment, one of the hardest challenges is not having the conversations with their classmates. And a lot of times if you're struggling in class, talking to those classmates can help you find solutions to do it a different way.
Would you post the link to that video, please?
Yeah, later on, Ramon's going to share about our YouTube channel, and you'll see all the videos there. So we'll share the link shortly.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it, what am I trying to say? Is it that most people with disabilities have a growth mindset because they're forced to, because things don't work the way they used to, so they have to get over it and proceed?
Great question. And it's entirely dependent on who they're around and, you know, how they're coached. And, you know, unfortunately, I know people in my life that were told, you know, because you have this disability like dyslexia, you'll never be able to have a job. I mean, I remember one time I used to work in a reading program, and a mom called up crying, and her son had dyslexia, and the pediatrician said, his life will always be hard. You better save money so he doesn't have to worry about having a job.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So it's very dependent on the people around you and what they say to you when you make mistakes or when things are hard. And Ramon's going to share a little bit later about famous people and the things that were said to them, but they still persisted. So this is an issue in the disability community, because a lot of people, if they have an acquired disability, like a medical disability, they do give up and become very depressed. So yeah, it's a great question, Teresa. It's an area we need more people who can specialize in and help others, definitely. So people with a growth mindset value mistakes. So this is a tough one, especially in school when it impacts your grade. And you know, maybe sometimes you have to take a class over, which is really, really difficult. And like I said, pretty much everybody you talk to has probably had some experience with this where they have failed in some way. And how they responded to that really says a lot about how they look at mistakes. You want to look at mistakes or challenges as an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow. This is where you can stretch your talents and abilities. Really accept that mistakes come with trying hard things. You know, you're in college. College classes are hard, and it's not all going to go perfectly. And just accept that. Just set your expectation that sometimes it's not going to go exactly the way you want, even when you put in your best effort. And it's important when mistakes happen that you talk about it with others so you can learn from each other. You know, if you're struggling in a class and you don't know how to learn, you know, or remember the information, Ramon and I can talk to you about, you know, study strategies. We have some great videos that have study strategies. Perhaps you need to go to tutoring. That's a great opportunity. Maybe you need to go to office hours. But really, when things don't go right, don't say, oh, I can't do this. I'm never going to be able to do this. What you want to say is, okay, it didn't go right. How can I do this differently? And start using resources to help it be a launching point for learning. trying different approaches. Maybe you always have studied the same way, and now you're in a class that, wow, that way of studying just doesn't work for you. So create another way, ask for help coming up with different ideas. Anybody can give you ideas for studying. You can ask your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your siblings, your friends, when you have a class that's hard, how did you study to get yourself to learn it? You never know who's going to have an idea for you. You really want to think outside the box. When you want to give up, remind yourself that effort is the road to success. Okay. I know it's hard to keep going when it doesn't keep working. There's some of you in this group, and I'm not naming names, but I know some of you who have had tremendous persistence despite challenges, and really impressive. You impress me with your ability to be persistent. And that's what everybody should be doing. When it's hard, dig in and keep trying instead of saying, oh, well, it's not going to work for me. It's really important to find like-minded friends. If you have people in your life who are saying, well, maybe that's just too hard for you. Or, why are you going to do it that way? It's not going to work for you. Or, I don't understand why you're doing this. It's so hard. Like, why do you put yourself under so much stress? Those are not people who are motivating you to be in a growth mindset. They're basically saying, don't do it. You're not going to be successful. You want people who will motivate you. People who share the belief that if we just find a better way, or if we keep trying, it's going to work out in the end. So this is crucial. And I think this speaks to Teresa's question about, are all people with disabilities going to be in a growth mindset? It really depends. It really depends on who's around them. So something that's really crucial is the power of the word yet. So remind yourself that you're working towards mastery. You want to focus on persistence, not success or the outcome. I can't do this yet. It doesn't work yet. I don't know yet. It doesn't make sense yet. I don't get it yet. I'm not good at this yet, but I will be. That's where you want your mind to be. You will be good at this. So Ramon is now going to share some really awesome information with you.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some really smart people, that throughout history. So the following people were successful not because of innate intelligence, but because they did not give up when faced with failure. So, we'll go through these people and we'll share a little bit of their story, and it's really interesting because some of these people will surprise you. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with Beethoven, but he was a famous composer from back in the days. One of Beethoven's teachers actually called him a hopeless composer. However, he did not feel discouraged. He continued. Oh my God, my phone just keeps ringing. Give me just a second. He continued to compose music after going deaf at the age of 44. If someone said to you, if someone said that about you, would you try a different activity, right? That would be extremely discouraging, especially if that's what you do, right? So, he didn't give up. He kept going. So he ended up doing really well, and he's now one of the most famous composers in history. Winston Churchill as well. He's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He actually repeated a grade in elementary school. He was placed in the lowest division of the lowest class. And you know, do you think his parents were worried about his potential? You know, they obviously were, but that didn't discourage Mr. Churchill from you know, doing what he did. So I'm pretty sure you all are familiar with Disneyland, right? That's all of us have been there at one point or another, and this is Walt Disney. You know, at age 22, he was fired from his newspaper job because he was not creative enough. This is the guy that invented Disneyland, right? He's not creative enough. His first production studio before Disneyland actually went bankrupt. You know, that would be discouraging for many people, right? If that's, you know, what you want to focus on and your first production goes completely bankrupt. He was turned down 302 times before he got the financing to create Disneyland. So he kept going to different banks. He kept going to different people to try to get the funding for Disneyland, for his idea, for his vision. And he was turned down 302 times. 300. This is before internet, right? So he couldn't just send an email or, you know, search online, and you know, he had to physically go to all these places or write letters, you know, different times. But you know, now we all know who Walt Disney is, and we all know about
Yes.
Disneyland.
Yeah, how interesting that that 22 he was fired because he was not creative enough. Yet he eventually would create the company that would go on to own Marvel and Star Wars.
Right.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Very, very cool stuff.
Mhm.
And you know, that poses the question, you know, would you change careers after this much failure? You know, maybe a lot of us would, you know, but maybe all of us won't. You know, we're all here, right? We're all going through struggles, and we're all here as college students, you know, struggling through the virtual environment and the pandemic, and you know, a lot of, you know, social things going on as well. But we're still here. We're not discouraged. So you know, if you think about, you know, feeling discouraged or giving up, look at Walt Disney. He was turned down 302 times before he actually got his shot. Thomas Edison. We all know who Thomas Edison is, right? The reason we can have internet today and have computers and have things is because of Thomas Edison. He failed over 10,000 times to create the light bulb, right? The light bulb now, we don't even think about it, right? We just come in, we flick on the lights in the house, and we got electricity, right? But he struggled, you know, he failed 10,000 times before he was able to create the light bulb. To that he said, I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. So, you know, he looked at the bright side, right? He just kept learning from his mistakes, and he kept chugging along. This, you know, also poses the question, would you persist through so many failures? This is 10,000. So Walt Disney was 302. And you know, Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times, and what? And Ally McCoy said, you know, he looked at the bright side. So that's awesome.
Okay, I'll just, yeah, I was going to say, I know there's some things, what about Tesla? I know that people, for some reason, I know that there are some controversy surrounding the two, but I'm not going to mention it here.
Yeah, hey, any inventor would have to be persistent and have a growth mindset and believe in their ability to be successful. Any inventor.
And I'm pretty sure he did some research from other people, right, to get some ideas. We all do that. We all do that now when we compose our papers. So, you know, anyways, that's a whole different topic. And then Amanda Gorman, who we just saw. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
I know, that's what I was going to say. That's why I didn't want to go into the controversy, into some of the controversies.
Definitely. We all just saw Miss Amanda Gorman, you know, a few days ago at the inauguration. She actually has auditory processing disorders, and she also has a speech impediment. She needed special education support growing up in school and whatnot to learn how to read and write. She credits her mom's growth mindset to where she's at now, with creating her persevering nature. So she was able to persevere and move forward regardless of these challenges that she had. And that poses the question. And I guess we could ask the group now. This is a great question. Would you get up and read in front of the entire nation if you had a speech issue? Anybody? That would be terrifying.
That's a good question. Terrifying, yes.
But she went up there and she nailed it, right? Like she did really well, regardless.
Mhm.
And she did amazing.
I think I would. She had tremendous support, and that's huge. And she overcame that. I can relate on a certain level because I was an introvert, and my goal in life was to be able to speak in front of anyone. Today, it doesn't matter if it's millions, if it's 3 people, if it's just 10, 100,000 people, doesn't matter. I will speak in front of anyone.
Great. Great. She really did an amazing job. And I think it was Michelle who said that she read an article that she would read the lyrics of Hamilton out loud in order to practice. And so I guess some of that was integrated into the poem she had written. So that was cool.
That makes sense because she seemed to have a rhythm.
Yeah.
And of course, we have President Biden, who has a stutter. And at times it slips. When he's talking, you can hear the stutter slips, but he works really well at composing himself and bringing himself back. He credits his mother for helping him persevere despite the stutter. He said his mother would tell him, "Joey, don't let this define you. Joey, remember who you are. Joey, you can do it." So every time I walk out, she would reinforce me. I know that sounds silly, but it really matters. So just having that encouragement from mom, every day really helped them power through it. And now you can't hardly tell that he has a stutter when he's up there. You could, every now and then it slips and it's okay, but he knows how to control it now. And then imagine having the whole world staring at you at the same time while this is happening. So, President Biden has also, he also has, a stutter that he has to overcome, and part of his job is to talk to people all day long, and regardless, he was able to overcome.
The thing is too, is these people say their mom helped them, feel confident in their ability to overcome, but we internalize what our parents say to us. So you can talk to yourself this way. I can do it. I'm okay. I'm just going to be who I am. And no matter what matters, I'm going to be me. And if I persist, I can do this. So the way you talk to yourself can provide the same kind of encouragement. So your thoughts impact your choices. So where do you feel your mindset is now? Does anybody feel like they're I know some of you have shared that you feel like you're in a growth mindset. Hopefully, if some of you have a more fixed mindset, some of what we shared today has helped with that.
And follow our YouTube channel as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the URL in the chat so you can follow us. Not follow us, but you can go on there and search our video. Yeah, and you can follow us if you like as well. And you'll see all the videos that we've done throughout last semester, and that we're going to work on this semester as well. So please feel free to log on and check out all of our videos. A lot of useful information on there for different topics that are all relevant to the virtual environment. So we're all going through this right now. Some of these tips and tricks might actually help alleviate some of the concerns and some of the struggles that you're having now as a virtual student. So I would, take a look at these videos, and there might be something on there for you all. Let me go ahead and post it one more time. There we go. Sorry, it didn't go through. All right, there we go. So please check us out. Come check us out, and show some support. Like I said, we do have great topics on there, and some of these videos I think will be extremely helpful. So upcoming events we have going. So we have the virtual survival skills workshop. This semester we are having some guest appearances, so please join us. We're having career development services join us for some resume workshops, for some job hunts, and career fair prep as well. So stay tuned for those, for you students looking for a job, or that are graduating soon, and you need to start getting your resume and all these important documents looked at. Come join us for some of these sessions. A lot of times we're so focused on schoolwork and getting good grades and whatnot, we forget about some of these other resources and documents that we will need for post undergrad, right? So once you graduate, what's the most important document that you will need to apply for a job, right? And that is a resume, and you'll be surprised how often a resume looked during your undergrad. So just something to keep in mind. Come join us. You get some tips and tricks. You can meet some of the career counselors and also schedule some appointments with them. So stay tuned for that as well. And then we have the building virtual study groups as well.
That's through
and we have the diverse.
The MDC's doing we're building the virtual study groups, and so you need to RSVP for theirs. So
yeah, great. And then Bonnie, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about Diverse Dolphins, since that's
well, the Diverse Dolphins is just an affinity group for people with disabilities and those who support them, and it's just a fun social group right now. We're going to start with a virtual coffee to just check in and see how everybody's doing with this semester, and and then at that first meeting, we'll talk about future dates and other things we want to do. I know this semester we want to do an Among Us game where everybody plays together. So we'll come other ideas with that. Also next week for the virtual school survival skills, we're doing a creative study schedule workshop. That's going to be a working workshop. For hopefully by the end of that workshop, you will walk away with a created study schedule where we're going to actually talk about specifics of how do you make everything fit in, so that you can get everything done. Anybody have any questions?
I was wondering, are we going to be able to submit the VoiceThread or the Zoom lecture so that we can get it written out for notes?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So what you want to do is put your phone next to the computer to make an audio recording, and then upload that to Note-Taking Express, just like you would in class.
Okay. So we don't just send the Zoom link?
No. You actually, they only want it in audio format. So unfortunately, but you could just set it to record and walk away if you've already watched it. But it's easier just to do it when you're watching the recording.
Or you can, is it okay to record on your computer?
If that works, yeah. If that works, absolutely.
Awesome. And who do you send it to?
Well, you would still upload it to Note-Taking Express.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and just so everyone knows, Psych 388. It's art. Psychology of Artist is open still if anyone is interested.
I'm interested. I don't have time.
Right?
Interested.
I took it last semester, Teresa.
Oh, wow.
What professor is it with?
Valentine,
Oh yeah, she's good. Aurora Valen. Yeah, she's good.
did you like it?
Yeah.
Can you well, let's talk after this.
Okay.
So do we have any other questions? It could be about anything. It doesn't have to just be about the growth mindset stuff.
I'm barely getting to requesting the accommodations and I feel really bad about it. But if I just need to like help with testing, do I just do the testing agreement or do I do all of them?
What happens is when you request your accommodations, you get to choose what you want. So if you
Okay.
just choose testing, then that's the only agreement that's gonna pop up.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm gonna stop the recording now. So if you guys wanna